The bombshell finally dropped on the Neil Gaiman situation as Scarlet, the lady who was his babysitter, who got abused by him for a long, long time, went out and actually talked about the situation with him. She spoke with Vulture, New York Magazine, and it's really, really creepy with the details here, guys. It's now going mainstream. J.K. Rowling and Elon Musk are even talking about the Neil Gaiman situation, and we'll get into the news in just a moment. Please hit the like and subscribe button here as we talk about all things in pop culture, especially when it comes to the publishing industry and the like. My name's John Delarose. I am a #1 best-selling author for standing up for my Christian values within the publishing industry. Of course, I publish myself, stay away from all this nonsense, and I have a trilogy I would love for you to check out. It's called The Arroz War. It starts with the stars entwined. It's a science fiction trilogy about a guy, a spy, who embeds himself on an alien starship to bring back information to Earth in the middle of a war. It blows up, and it gets absolutely crazy over the 3-book trilogy here, and I build an excellent science fiction universe. So check this out, guys. This is very different than anything you're going to see. It's definitely not a Neil Gaiman style or anything like that. I actually don't really like his writing very much. But if you want something different from what mainstream's offering, please grab this. Support independent media today. It's wonderful stuff. Get the whole trilogy. It's available on ebook, print, and audio in the description below. All right, New York Magazine released a deep dive into Neil Gaiman's sexual misconduct allegations with interviews of several of the women involved. The allegations have escalated with detailed accounts where the women involved accused the Sandman and American Gods author of the R stuff at this point. Be careful on YouTube, just in case. In 2024, he was accused by 7 different women, and the first 2 started with the Tortoise podcast, an investigative journalism outlet named for the tortoise and hare fable, leaning towards slow and steady wins the race. They're well known for doing deep dives on situations, gathering all information to ensure accuracy before reporting. So when this came out, it was pretty big. It was ignored for a long time by the publishing industry, by different media outlets. I know that there were directives that came out from people within the industry not to talk about it because Neil Gaiman is viewed as too big to fail. If you don't know, in the comic book industry, he is somebody revered for his Sandman. He basically propped up DC Comics for a long, long time with his work. Now that's a Netflix show. In the publishing industry side, he sells millions of books of things like American Gods and Stardust, which also have been made into different features. So he is the just archetype person in the publishing industry. He's also made like a brand out of standing for feminism over his career. That's like kind of the biggest thing about all of this, is that he is out there being like, I stand for women, #MeToo. He's one of the worst virtue signalers out of anybody. And now, of course, reset the clock, my friends, because every single time there's a male feminist, there's a predator. It gets really, really crazy. So I've been talking about this on the channel since early 2024 as this was going on, and it's been largely silent everywhere else. People have actually been more critical of me for covering it than actually what he's done. It's really wild watching these people talk. They're like, yeah, it's really bad that he raped and abused these young women, Neil Gaiman, but gosh, it's too bad John Delarose is reporting on it. It's absurd how these people act. But this is exactly what wokeism does, and how they just funnel around each other every single time. I don't think that's going to last much longer because it's being talked about so much now. These details are just sick, guys. So content warning at this point. It is gross. It's not for the faint of heart. The stuff that he allegedly did is very, very terrible. So it starts off with this girl, Scarlet, in this article, and you can see the article is it's almost a novel. You can see how long the original article is. I summarized it in my Substack for people who don't want to go through all of this, but actually they did a really good job in New York Magazine. This Lila Shapiro, she actually went in and she tied it to Neil Gaiman was brought up in this weird Scientology cult as a child, where he actually seemed to probably face a bunch of abuse himself. Not that it justifies it. You don't have to do evil just because evil was done to you. But that's definitely a part of his upbringing and character that caused an effect here. So she also went off on just how he's been propped up by the establishment and everything. It's been a wild ride. Now Scarlet Pavlovich was a 22-year-old drama student when she met Amanda Palmer, who was Neil Gaiman's wife. And they started a friendship, and eventually Pavlovich was asked to babysit Amanda Palmer and Neil Gaiman's child. When this happened, she went over to Neil Gaiman's house, and he apparently asked her to get into the tub. So what happened was he fed her a couple of glasses of wine, said she was great. She wanted to make a good impression on Neil Gaiman because he's a rich author and the like. So she took a couple glasses of wine, and he said, "Oh, why don't you go relax in the tub while I take this work call?" And she apparently didn't want to, but eventually kind of relented because he was very insistent about it, and went in the bathtub. Now she did not expect that he was going to show up in the bathtub. And apparently he did enter the door stark naked, just like flopping around in front of her, and just like presented. Oh, it's just totally casual. Oh, this is fine. This is normal. Now the woman clearly just was dumb in the fact that she stayed, right, and kept staying throughout this entire thing. But this is what happens. These dumb women get into these relationships. They get stuck. They get manipulated by these stars, and it gets really, really gross as it goes along. So apparently, as that situation progressed, he asked her to sit on his lap in the tub. She didn't want to. She eventually relented. And it's a lot of didn't want to, eventually relented scenarios with Neil Gaiman. And then it got weird. So as their relationship went along, apparently he got himself off in that situation, which is and she just kind of just lived with it and moved on. And as that went along, he felt like he had carte blanche to kind of take advantage of her. And it gets really, really sad and sick at this point. Like there's points where she says he pulled down her pants and started smacking her with a belt in the kitchen. There was points where apparently he was doing these weird, like, sadomasochistic things with her in a hotel room with his young child in there. Amanda Palmer apparently was called during that, according to this, and asked if he was in there. He said no and hung up. And then there was a point where it was so gross that she says that he made her poop. I'm serious, guys, and then lick her own feces in front of him. Like to just show that she was nothing to be degraded, etc. Now, she eventually got very, very scarred from this, ended up calling rape crisis places. Neil Gaiman paid her off a little bit, according to Tortoise Podcast, who apparently confirmed this. And then she did call the police in 2023, expecting, because Amanda Palmer said she'd take care of her, help her, etc. She expected Amanda Palmer would help her and corroborate this situation, because Amanda Palmer told her that there were 14 other women who had been in similar situations with this. And with that, she refused to cooperate with the police when the time came. So this happened. There's a couple different accounts of fans who got trailed by Neil Gaiman and the like in similar sort of situations, where he like forced them to call him master. That's a big thing that he really loved, being called in this sort of situation. But he one of the funny ones was like, he told him, "I'm a very wealthy man. I'm used to getting what I want." He eventually paid this fan over $60,000 for therapy bills after her encounters with him left her scarred. Another one said when he was going after this, she said, "It was a big, hard no." She said, "I told him, you cannot put anything in my vagina or I will die." He then allegedly flipped her over on the bed, attempted to penetrate her with his fingers. And then once she claimed she said no again, he stopped for a bit and then went for full intercourse. She said she just shut down and laid there when that happened, even though she said no several times. And in all these situations, these women said no several times, and yet he persisted anyway. And then they went with it afterwards. It's very, very bizarre. Now, the craziest, creepiest one, in my opinion, is the one that lived in his New York estate. She was the wife of his gardener, and eventually that gardener and her got divorced. Neil Gaiman apparently, like when Amanda Palmer wasn't there, would show up and demand sexual favors of her in exchange for her living there with the daughters, and for instance, in lieu of rent. Now, this is very illegal, if true, and very crazy. Now, she said that there was one point where she even had a sexual encounter with him when his 4-year-old son was in the bed with them, and he went for it anyway, said he didn't have boundaries. So very sick stuff right there. That one's weird. She got paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for silence from Neil Gaiman as well. And again, that is trying to extract favors to as a blackmail sort of for forcing somebody to live there is a very crazy thing. Now, there's 8 victims in total who have come out at this point, according to the New Vulture article. So it's compounding. Like I said, they say Amanda Palmer knows that there's 14 out there as well. And we'll see how crazy it gets. Amanda Palmer pushed some weird thing on her Patreon last year, which was not covered in the article. She published a image of the book Lolita, and if you know the book Lolita, it's very weird, on top of a garbage can. When these stories were breaking, and she has not said anything about the situation. Neil Gaiman's been silent, has disappeared, has basically just ditched social media, canceled public events, been completely gone during this. But here's the bombshell, guys. This is what happened. It's out now. And you can read the summary on my Fandom Pulse. Of course, you can go to New York Magazine for the big expose. It's a really long read, but it is worth it. And please do check out my science fiction series here. It's good stuff, guys. And if you want alternatives, this is a great place to support. The Eurasian War Trilogy on ebook, print, and audio in the description below. Thank you so much for being there. Hit the like and subscribe button. Let me know what you think about the harrowing details here. We'll be back soon.